I'm going to show you on how to connect two PCs using router information packets. Now select PCs. You can take the PC or the laptop. For me, I can use the PC. Drag, drop. We can take even 3 for one switch. The first switch here, like this. Don't worry. This is now the second switch. Picking the second switch. Okay, these PCs need to be connected. Let's pick cables. For me, I'm going to use this cable here. Take this cable, drag it, connecting to the switch, connecting to that switch. Okay, for the second switch, the first PC, the second PC to the switch, the third PC to the switch. Okay, these computers of mine here, maybe when I arrange it to be a little bit reasonable, these switches need to be connected with 2 routers. Now I'm going to pick the routers here. Let me use 1841 router. Pick it. That's the first one. I'm going to take it to B2, like that. Okay. These routers also need to be connected to a switch using cables. Now I'm going to use the same cable that we used connecting the switches. The output of that switch to the input of the second router, like this, and we're done. Let's now do IP configurations for our PCs. Let's start in the first switch with the first computer. Here you go to desktop, IP configuration. We have 192.168. Let's use 1.2 there. And then subnet mask, we leave it default. Default gateway, we now use default gateway as 1.1, and default gateway will be constant for all PCs in the same switch. We're done with first computer. We are done with the default gateway. We said it's 1.1 for all the computers in the same switch. Let's go for desktop, IP configuration. Now it's 1.4, and we're done with this. We're done with the first switch. Let's now go to the second switch. For the second switch, now we are going to use. Let's use 10.2 for the first. We're going to use 10.2, and subnet mask will always remain default. And here, let's use 10.1 as the default gateway. We're done with the first PC. The second PC, we got, it's now 10.3. If you're following keenly, 10.1. Okay, Let's go to the last. It's now 4 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, and we are done with IP configurations. We are done with IP configurations of the computers in our PCs, in our switch. We now need to do some commands in our router. So router configuration. Let's start with the first router. Go to command line interface, CLI. You start with a no or N. You need to enable, so we can use EN as the abbreviation. Then you configure the terminal, so config T. We are using resource information packets, so router RIP. Then we now give the networks. In this case we have 3 networks. The first network is the one that is with the first switch, and the second in the second switch. Then we now have the third network in between the routers. That is another network. The first network is 1.1. We are naming it 1.1. The second one we are naming it 10.0. Then the third one is 20.0. So let's name them. Net 192.168.1.0. Okay. Net 192.168.1.0, and then the second one we are naming it 10.0. The third one we are naming it 20.0. Then after we have named the networks, now we need to allocate the interface. When you are channeling your information from the first, when you are sending the packets, for example from the first computer, it goes through the first interface of the first router, and this interface is FA0/0. So interface FA0/0. Okay. After you've given the interface, you now give out the IP address of that packet. So IP address, which is 192.168. Now the IP address of the default gateway. We are now using the address of the default gateway of the first switch, which we named it as 1.1. Then you give out the subnet mask, which is default for the all switches, which is 255.255.255.0. After you've given out the IP address, it's now no shutdown. And remember, no shutdown should not have a space. No shutdown. Then you exit. You exit the second time. Now the information is now in the router. It has to get out of the router through the output interface, which is FA0/1. So you configure the terminal first. Config T. Then you give out the IP address, the interface. So int FA0/1. Then you give out the IP address of the router. We are naming it 20.1. So IP address 192.168.20.1, and the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Then no shutdown. Remember, no shutdown should not have a space. And we are done with the first router. we are done with the first router. Boom. Let's now go to the second router. As usual, control CLI as usual, and you enable config T. After you've configured, you now go to router rip, then you give out the networks, net 192.168.1.0. The second network will be 10.0, the third network 20.0. After that, you now give out the interface, which is FA01 for the third network, for the input of the third network as it goes to the left. So let's go. Interface FA0/1, and then you give out the IP address. In this case, we are giving out the default gateway, the IP address of the default gateway in the third network. So IP address 192.168.10.1. Then of course you give out the default subnet mask 55.0, and then after given out, of course, it's now no shutdown, and as we said, no shutdown should not have a space like that. Then you exit. Now the information now is inside the second router. It must go out. So config T, and then you give out the interface. So int FA0/0, and the IP address of this router in this page is 20.2. So IP address 192.168.20.2. then subnet mask 255.255.255.0. then no shutdown. We are done with the second router. Now we need to ping. We need to see if these packets now can work, if these computers can now communicate together. So exit again. Now ping the first computer in the first router. Maybe it was 192.168.1.2. Success rate is 80%. This is because the root of course is new. Let's repeat it again. Now the success rate is 100%. This shows that our network is complete. If now we want to repeat this process, we want to send information from the first router here to the last, from the first computer to the last computer. So you come to the first computer here, you send information to the last computer. So you go to desktop, then you go to command prompt, then ping the IP address of the last computer, which is 192.168.10.4. Let's wait, timeout. Success rate is 80% again. Let's repeat it again because of the root. Now the success rate is 100%. This shows that our network is fully is fully attained, and now the computers can communicate successfully.